Hello everybody! Today I wanted to talk about language motivation and more importantly, how to keep being motivated to learn a language and to push yourself within language learning to get to your ultimate goal. Motivation though, right? Before I do that though, hello, my name is Janice. I make videos on language learning, about languages, occasionally more specifically about my own journey trying to learn Korean, and more recently I've added my eating disorder recovery to the list of topics that I talk about. If any or all of that sounds interesting to you, you can have a look around on my channel. You might find something that you enjoy, and if you do, why not stick around? Get it? Why not? Why not, Janice? I need some tea to like wash down the embarrassment of that. Back to the main topic, language motivation. How do you keep yourself motivated with a task that seems very daunting? Sometimes it might feel impossible. You might think that there's way too many intricate details for a language. You might think that there's way too many little rules and exceptions that you will never be able to get the grasp of or the hang of. But the thing is, it's entirely possible. When you were a baby, you were not able to speak any language, right? You came out of your mother's womb or C-section or however you were born. You didn't have a grasp of language. Babies on average, after about a year or so, they will start to try talking themselves. It's not going to be coherent sentences at first. It's not going to be perfectly grammar structured sentences. With language learning, I find that it really helps me keep motivated if I think of myself as a newborn in that language. It's even harder to learn a language if you're not actually present in that country where the language is spoken. So for example, if I apply that to myself, Korean, I'm not in Korea. I live in Switzerland. I'm not surrounded by Koreans speaking Korean every single day. I don't have to use Korean every single day. Me learning Korean is made a lot harder than if I were to be in Korea and being surrounded every day and being forced to hear it and to listen to it and to preferably also speak it. I can give you an example of when I learned English. I was put into an international school and I didn't know any English. I knew yes, no, and the very first time that my mum brought me to school, she said, if you don't understand something, say, I don't understand. As soon as she said it, it went in one ear and out the other. It took me a year to be able to understand more or less everything, and then another half a year to be able to comfortably, without hesitation, just speak. It took me 1 year of just listening and not really saying a lot. Like I'd say sentences here and there, or I would be able to express that I understood something, but in the beginning, I knew nothing. Don't be discouraged. A lot of people are subscribed to the idea that if you are young, you learn languages easier. I don't think that's true. If you actually apply yourself to a language and to learning a language, no matter what age, you're going to be able to learn a language. My grandma learned to speak Spanish when she was 60 and now she speaks fluent Spanish. Whenever I feel really unmotivated to continue learning to Korean, when I'm just feeling like I'm about to give up and I can't do this, there's so many weird verbs and there's so much grammar structure and it's just so bad, numbers. The thing that I remember is the following. When I was 14, I was a complete and utter weeaboo. I loved anime and manga, and I loved Japan, or rather my idea of Japan, and I was a weeaboo, right? I loved Sailor Moon, I rewatched Digimon, I loved Naruto, I loved Death Note, I would watch Orange High School Host Club, just everything. I'd soak everything up. And I wanted to learn Japanese. I started learning Japanese. I started trying to do the symbols and I started trying to, you know, get vocabulary. After about 2 weeks, I completely lost interest. I was like, this is way too hard, screw this, I can't do this. I'm stuck with like, it's not konnichiwa, but it's konnichiwa. That's pretty much all I remember. Watashi wa Janice desu. Toire is toilet. O genki desu ka? Or genki desu ka? Something like that. Arigatou gozaimasu. So my grasp of the Japanese language right now is so teeny tiny. And every time I'm this close to giving up on learning Korean, I just think back to if I had continued studying Japanese, if I'd stuck through from the age of 14 up until now, I'm turning 24 this year, if I had continued learning over those 10 years, almost 10 years, I would probably be able to speak Japanese quite fluently. But I didn't. I gave up after 2 weeks. It frustrates me because I would love to know Japanese, like god damn it. And so every time I'm close to just giving up on Korean and thinking, screw this, I'm not gonna schedule another lesson, screw this is ridiculous, I'm not getting anywhere. I just think back to 14-year-old Janice just giving up, and I don't want to do that. For studying methods, you need to find what works for you. If you want me to make a video about studying methods for learning languages in particular, let me know and I'll be glad to make that for you. I've actually got quite a few ideas on what I want to put in that video. Let me know if you're interested in that. But find a method that works for you. If you find that you get frustrated doing one thing, stop doing that thing and try it with another method. Taking small steps towards the language is so much easier and healthier than if you were to try and cram 50 words of vocab into your brain. That's probably not gonna work. If instead every day you tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna learn 5 new verbs, that's probably more likely to stick in your head than 50 verbs at the end of the week. Even if at the end of the week you don't remember all of the verbs that you learned, you might be able to remember 1 or 2 verbs from each day, and that's already something. Another really big thing is do not compare yourself to others, and I cannot stress this enough. If you continuously compare yourself to others, you're just going to get hung up on the fact that you might not be feeling good enough, or you might be putting yourself down when there's really no need. The only person you should be allowing yourself to compare yourself to is yourself. If the other person you're comparing yourself to already has a background knowledge of a different language that the language you're both trying to learn stems from, then they're already at an advantage. And so it's not fair for yourself to compare yourself to the other person if they already have this advantage, because you're not on an even playing field. Say you're trying to learn French. The other person you're comparing yourself to is a Spanish native speaker. Spanish and French are both Latin languages, and so they have a lot of things in common. I can personally read French, more or less. I'm able to grasp what the sentence might be trying to tell me. And so a native Spanish speaker is going to have that advantage of knowing a Latin language. Whereas if you're coming from an English background or German background, you might be at a loss there, and you might have to relearn all of those things. If you're an English speaker, you've only got you. Whereas if you're a German speaker and you're learning French, you already know, oh, yes, of course, there's the you, which is polite, and then there's the you, which is impolite. If you're like me trying to learn Korean derives a lot of words from Chinese. So if I compare myself to somebody who speaks Chinese, then that's not fair because they have the Chinese advantage. The other person might be able to spend 2 hours every day on learning the language, whereas you've only realistically got time for 10 minutes of studying. That's not fair for you to compare yourself to somebody whose background you don't know. Do not compare yourself to others. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is your past self. And when I mean comparing yourself to your past self, I recommend writing a diary in the language that you're trying to learn. When you feel really stuck, go back to your old diary entry and read what you've written and how far you've come. You might be able to pick up words that you had gotten wrong then, but you know perfectly well how to use them now. You might be able to find grammar mistakes that you would never think of doing right now. It kind of keeps you motivated to see, oh, I actually have progressed. If you're doing online lessons, to me it helps writing everything down in a notebook, because then I can look back at older lessons and I think, damn, I really used to not know how to use that, you know, sentence structure thing. In 2 months or so, the thing that I'm struggling with currently is gonna seem like, wait, I didn't know how to use that? Ridiculous. Incorporate your target language into your daily life. I do with the music. Music is great. Love K-pop. Stan Luna and Stan 17. You can also stan BTS while you're at it, but like half of the world is already standing BTS, so they don't really need a shout out, but stan Luna. I've only recently started standing Luna. The music is great. The members are ridiculous. The lore. God fucking damn it, I've spent so much time on that stupid lore. What was I talking about? Right, incorporate your target language into your daily life. Whether that be listening to music, if you're wanting to watch a TV show, try to find the TV show in the target language, which can actually be quite hard. I wanted to watch an anime the other day. I feel kind of guilty if I watch it in Japanese instead of in Korean, so I'm gonna try and find it in Korean. A Japanese anime, Korean dubbed with English subtitles. It was kind of a hard mix to do. If you have any sources for where I can find something like that, let me know, because your girl struggled. Sometimes if you have a quiet moment to think for yourself, look around the house and look at objects around the house. What is the word for that object in my target language? You might be finding that you have a lot of gaps in your vocabulary, which then might be able to lead you into learning that vocabulary. Or if you're thinking to yourself or talking to yourself, try to do it in the target language. It doesn't matter if you make a lot of mistakes because nobody else is listening in on that. Basically using the language to your advantage. You can talk to yourself in the shower about the day you've just had, about the things that you saw, about the dogs that you pet. I need to pet some dogs some days. Through that, you'll be able to use the language more frequently and get more comfortable with pronouncing the things. If you're really struggling with learning a language, if you're really struggling to keep motivated, ask yourself the following question. What made me want to learn the language in the first place? What was it that sparked so much interest that I thought, yes, I want to learn this language. I want to be able to conquer it. I want to be able to speak, write, and read in this language. It's a good language. What made you want to start? If you want to, you can write it down in a list and stick it somewhere where you're gonna see it every day. What helps me personally is changing my wallpaper to something about Korea. So for example, my current wallpaper is a photo that I took whilst I was in Korea, keeping me motivated because it reminds me, yes, I want to be able to talk to the people there. I want to be able to have a conversation with people. Plus Korean is a really cool language. And the alphabet is really sweet. Please, Korean is such a cute language. Changing your wallpaper to something that reminds you of the language or reminds you of the country, or you could even make it the list of your initial motivation. If you have any ways that you keep yourself motivated that were different from the things that I've listed, let me know down in the comments so we can all share and motivate each other and inspire each other to continue with our language learning journey. Ultimately, it's really rewarding when you finally realize, wait, I actually understood that without it needing to be translated first. And those are like the little moments that motivate me. So this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can stick around till when I make a new one. I hope you drink lots of water, get lots of sleep, and this is the end. Bye!